From a sick farmer reborn into an overpowered body, to a weak adventurer cooking the most delectable monster meat your eyes have ever seen, these new Isekai anime have 0 terrible episodes. Number 15, Farming Life in Another World. After living an unlucky life and dying miserably on a hospital bed, Hiraku Machio is reincarnated with a superhuman body in another world by a god. Hiraku doesn't have any magical powers, but with the help of the all-purpose farming tool, or AFT, bestowed to him, he starts a brand new life as the ultimate 20-year-old farmer. Thanks to his superhuman body, Hiraku never runs out of stamina, and because of that, he's able to rapidly cultivate the land, make an entire village in no time, tame hundreds of different beasts, and get married to 14 different women that we know of, and have 21 children with them all in no time. Sheesh. Talking about working all day and night. Later on, more women start joining Hiraku's harem. There are run-ins with the Demon Kingdom, angels, and plenty of fights for you to enjoy. Every single episode of Farming Life in Another World will leave you awestruck, and the story only keeps getting better as it goes on. Number 14, Saving 80,000 gold in Another World for my retirement. Mitsuha Yamano gains the ability to travel to another dimension, and being poor back on Earth, she vows to save 80,000 gold and 2 billion yen for her retirement on both worlds. How she ensures it, well, that's a different story. Mitsuha carries and sells items between the two worlds, including assorted chocolates, shampoos, moisturizers, jewelry, animal carcasses, and whatnot. Call her an international smuggler, if you will. Saving 80,000 gold in Another World for my retirement is an isekai anime about Mitsuha's ingenuity and how she tries to amass a fortune. It has got 12 brilliant episodes, and besides being fun, they might teach you a thing or two about sales. Number 13, Seventh Time Loop. The villainess enjoys a carefree life married to her worst enemy. Dying 6 times at age 20 was more than enough for Riche, so in her 7th reincarnation as a 15-year-old, she decides to kick back and live the high life by marrying into a noble family. Surprisingly, Riche receives a proposal moment after reincarnating again, but the irony is that it's from her worst enemy, Prince Arnold, the person who killed her a few minutes ago. In all of Riche's past lives, Prince Arnold was a tyrant ruler, whereas Riche lived as a merchant, royal knight, scholar, and so on. While hesitant at first, Riche accepts Arnold's hand in marriage, but only because she wants to discover what makes this king prince and her soon-to-be husband a mad tyrant in the future who kills his father and starts a war, all in the span of 5 years. Number 12, Handyman Scoto in Another World. An overworked and underpaid handyman was the motto of Scoto's life until he was run over by a truck and transported to another world. In the new fantasy world, Scoto encounters a group of adventurers looking for a skilled member to join them, and luckily, his expertise as a handyman is the perfect fit. With loads of experience from his previous life, Scoto helps his party by picking locks, repairing their equipment, negotiating for them, and in various other ways. Though his methods might be unconventional to the people of this fantasy world, his skills as a handyman are indispensable, and his vibrant personality has an effect on everyone around him. Handyman Scoto in Another World nails the story pacing and doesn't put you through the pain of watching any filler content. Instead, it gradually introduces you to a world filled with amazing adventures, and that's why it's the perfect example of how to do an isekai anime that has no bad episodes. Number 11, Summoned to Another World for a second time. One day, Suzaki Setsu and his classmates are transported to an alternate dimension where the human, beastmen, and demon races are at war with each other. However, this isn't actually Setsu's first time in the Destinia Kingdom. Setsu actually happens to be the fabled hero of the Destinia Kingdom, who ended the previous war but was somehow teleported back to his world as a baby. Now, 16 years later, Setsu's back in Destinia again and has gained access to all of his overpowered abilities. His first order of things is figuring out who was responsible for turning him to a baby and starting the ongoing war between the races. But he also has to take care of his classmates and meet old friends who are probably wondering where he's been all these years. Summoned to Another World for a second time is an action-packed isekai, and the more you watch it, the more you'll get hooked. Number 10. The Magical Revolution of the Reincarnated Princess and the Genius Young Lady. Reincarnated as a magicless noble princess, Anisfia spends all day cooped up in her palace learning about magic. Her goal? To be able to fly across the kingdom for starters, but because of this dedication to magic, it falls on Anis's younger brother Algard to take the throne and get politically engaged to Euphilia. However, Algard seems to show interest in someone else and calls off the marriage by wrongfully accusing Euphilia of bullying. Anis, who was in the middle of her botched test flight for her latest invention, a flying broom, quickly realized this abuse and swiftly swooped in to take Euphilia away. Anis asks Euphilia to be her assistant, and together the duo conduct hundreds of uncanny experiments and try to become the greatest inventors the world has ever seen. Number 9. Why Riana ended up at the Duke's mansion. Yufa Park is reincarnated into a novel after being murdered. However, unlike many isekai anime where the protagonist is an overpowered menace, Yunha is reincarnated as Riana Macmillan, a side character in the novel story who also gets murdered later on. Luckily, Yunha has read the entire novel before, and remembers the events that will happen before her death as Riana. Armed with the power of knowledge, Yunha starts changing the story of the novel by straight up going to the lead character, Duke Noah Volstair Wind Knight, and asking him to marry her because she knows his secrets. And so begins a game of Yunha puppeteering all the characters in the story and making sure she leads a good life this time around in this world. Number 8. Campfire cooking in another world with my absurd skill. All of a sudden, Tsuyoshi Mukaura is summoned to the kingdom of Riziger, along with 3 teenagers. While the teenagers are bestowed awesome powers to protect the kingdom and are dubbed heroes, Mukaura possesses a skill called Online Grocery, which he can use to order edibles and other items from Japan. Deemed useless by the royal family, Mukaura is allowed to roam free across the lands. But little does everyone know that the ingredients he uses from his ability to cook delicious food restore the magic and power of adventurers. Campfire cooking in another world with my absurd skill entails the chronicles of Tsuyoshi Mukaura as he ventures across the kingdom of Riziger, cooking savory meals for hardy adventurers and befriends all sorts of weird, grumpy monsters. Though at the sidelines, the nefarious agenda of the royal family is in play, and the entire anime does a good job of keeping you intrigued and constantly laughing at how Mukaura deals with situations. Number 7. Dead Mount Death Play. Dead Mount Death Play is a gritty reverse isekai anime, where the main character is an evil necromancer who uses a magic spell to reincarnate himself on Earth as a 16-year-old boy. As Polka Shinoyama, the necromancer hopes to lead a peaceful life, but for reasons unknown to him, he's being hunted by assassins all over Tokyo. Things only get wilder as the anime progresses and the backdrop moves from Polka having a change of heart and saving children to fighting vampires, monsters, and superpowered beings from other worlds, one after the other. Dead Mount Death Play is full of brutal on-screen moments, jaw-dropping twists, and dozens of interesting supporting characters. It's an anime that has something for every Isekai fan, and you'll love it if dark fantasy shows happen to be your weakness. Number 6. The Foolish Angel Dances with the Devil. Akutsu Masatora is a demon pretending to be a high school student. His real purpose is finding people suitable to join the ranks of hell and bolster their army against the angels. However, it appears even a demon can fall in love too. Masatora develops feelings for his classmates Lily Amane, who is an ordinary human, or so he thought. Lily turns out to be a powerful angel who hunts demons, and she quickly enslaves the infatuated Masatora with a special collar. As a slave, Masatora does Lily's bidding, all while trying his level best to be smitten with her. This includes singing like a maniac, making Amane food, and protecting her from other demons and angels. And so begins an isekai rom-com story of how a demon became a simp for an angel. Number 5. My instant death ability is so overpowered, no one in this other world stands a chance against me. My instant death ability is so overpowered follows Yogiri Takatou, a high schooler on a trip who somehow ends up in a fantasy world. Upon awakening, his bashful classmate Tomochika explains that while Yogiri was napping in the bus, a great sage teleported them to this land and took their classmates for training as future sages. As for the both of them, they were left to die because they had no potential. But little did the wise sage know that Yogiri can actually kill anything living, mechanized, and even the reanimated undead simply with a thought. However, Yogiri decides to keep his power a secret for now, and instead sets out to find a way back home with Tomochika. But as you guessed it, that doesn't happen so easily, and instead, the dynamic duo travels down a path filled with danger, humor, and glory. Number 4. Villainous Level 99. After getting hit by Truck-kun, a college student is reincarnated in a fantasy RPG called Light, Magic, and the Hero. In the game world, she's reborn as Yumiella Dokness, the secret boss of the game who the heroes will face after defeating the Demon Lord. However, that's not how Yumiella wants to live her life. Instead, she wants to attend the Royal Academy like a normal person, and for that, she starts leveling up so to fit right in with the other students. But as it happened, she might have overdone it a bit. Yumiella mistakenly reaches level 99, the highest level in the game, and when people at the academy find out about that, Yumiella becomes the center of attention nationwide. The peaceful and quiet life Yumiella hoped for goes right out the window, as all that everyone wants now is to fight Yumiella and prove they're stronger. Number 3. I got a cheat skill in another world. Yuya Tenjo is an obese high schooler and is a victim of severe physical and mental bullying because of his appearance. On top of that, the only person who ever loved him, his grandfather, passes away. Barely having any reason to live, one day Yuya finds a secret passageway into another world. There, he gains special abilities, and after killing a monster, he levels up to 100, which then changes his appearance, giving him rock-hard abs and bestows upon him superhuman strength. Now completely changed, Yuya continues his life on Earth and also in the fantasy world he discovered earlier. Back on Earth, he goes to school and shocks everyone with his strength and appearance. Whereas back in the fantasy land, he meets new otherworldly beings, befriends them, and gets caught up in all sorts of adventures. I Got a Cheat Skill in Another World is the story of how a bullied teenager went from being a nobody to one of the strongest humans in 2 worlds. And for fans of isekai anime with an overpowered MC and no bad episodes, Cheat skill is a must-watch. Number 2. Am I actually the strongest? A Hikimori, someone you would call a shut-in or NEET in simpler terms, is given a second shot at life when he's reincarnated into another world as a prince. Sounds epic, right? Well, if only Prince Reinhard was born with great powerful magic abilities like his parents, the king and queen, expected him to be. Reinhard was only born with a magic level of 2, which is incredibly low. So low, in fact, that his parents abandoned him in a forest out of embarrassment and announced his stillbirth to the world. Had they known it was actually the magic measuring machine's fault and Reinhard's actual power level is 1002, that on par with a god, things might have turned out differently. Back to the story at hand. Reinhard is rescued and groomed by his relative, Gold Zenfis. As the years go by, Reinhard, now living as Haruto Zenfis, starts to manifest his true abilities. And while he wants the world to think he's weak so he can secretly watch anime and mess around all day, a sinister plot that threatens his family comes into play, and he's forced to protect them using his powers. Number 1. The reincarnation of the strongest exorcist in another world. The strongest sorcerer in the world is killed by his pupil out of jealousy, but as he draws his final breaths, the sorcerer casts a reincarnation spell. While he expected to be reborn into a calmer life, he's born as Saika Lamperouge, the illegitimate and magicless son of a nobleman. Saika is bullied by his half-brother, and things are going well for him. Despite that, Saika spends his time studying the 6 elements responsible for creating magic in this world: fire, water, earth, air, light, and shadow. With this knowledge, he can simulate magic skills and quickly becomes an overpowered menace. Saika demonstrates that by saving the mansion from a monster and shocking his family in the process. To add the cherry on top, Saika doesn't know that his mother might be a demon, and that he might possibly be next in line to become the Demon Lord. And that's just the half of it. Everything keeps getting grander by the minute, and for anyone who likes isekais, binging the reincarnation of the strongest exorcist in another world is a must.